Welcome to the David Pakman Show. We haven't talked about Edward Snowden for a little bit. Well, in part because we were on vacation, but since coming back, we haven't really talked about Edward Snowden. And I saw a video of this really interesting interview that Edward Snowden's father, Lon Snowden, did with the Washington Post. And in that interview, he addresses the fact that the FBI wanted to get him to Moscow. And let's take a look at that clip.
I was asked if I would consider flying to Moscow, and I said yes. I said, however, I want to know what the objective is because, and I want to be able to speak to my son to see if there's value, because I'm not going to fly to Moscow to sit on the tarmac to be an emotional tool for you.
For the government, you mean?
For the government.
Yeah.
And so...
What did they say?
And so initially I said, so can you set up communications? And initially it was, well, we're not sure. And I said, wait just a minute. Folks that I work with could set up communications, you know, any number of ways.
So you thought you'd be a pawn?
Bottom line is, we offered,
right.
We partnered with them. Bruce was involved with this.
Right.
They were unable to set up communications
with Edward.
And so as a result, that did not work.
So I was a little bit surprised about this, and he says pretty clearly, I wanted to talk to Edward, but he basically says he got the impression that the FBI just wanted to use him basically to try to lure, in some emotional way, lure Edward Snowden to come out of hiding or to turn himself into the U.S. And Lon Snowden pretty astutely identifying that, probably he seems astute enough to have an attorney working with him, so certainly we could assume he was astute enough to realize that may have been the goal. Were you surprised to hear that the FBI tried to drag in his father to bring him in?
No, not at all. I'm sure they'll do whatever they can to try and get him on U.S. soil. No surprise at all. I mean, I'm sure that's a pretty common tactic in situations like this.
He was also asked what he thought triggered his son's decision to leak the information that has been the center of the controversy over Edward Snowden. And he said that he didn't know. He said, Edward seemed troubled in April during our final dinner together. And his son recently he says also that his son had recently put up a firewall between himself and his family. Let's say let's start first with this scenario, Lewis. If you had done something like what Edward Snowden had done, and authorities went to your dad or your mom or whoever and tried to elicit their help in bringing you in, what do you think they would do?
It's hard to say. I'm not sure. They would probably refuse, but I know that I would not be susceptible to it if I wanted to avoid that.
So in other words, you don't think that your parents really have very strong influence over what you do? Is that kind of what you're implying?
Well, if I were to do this is a completely obscure scenario. I mean, if I leaked important government information and then was a fugitive, hiding in an airport somewhere. I mean, I don't know. Very weird.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do if I had done something and then all of a sudden they get my dad on the phone or my mom, and my mom's all upset and she's like, listen, I know you didn't mean to hurt anyone, but you've got to come back. You've got to turn yourself in. You know it's the right thing to do. It would be tough. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say how any particular thing or person could influence you in these hypothetical situations, but I was pretty interested to see the interview with Lon Snowden. I encourage you to check it out.